When Americans think of the postbellum economy, they often think of the Gilded Age and will picture Andrew Carnegie's steel palaces or John D. Rockefeller's oil empire. Yet the life of Hetty Green, who is often called the Witch of Wall Street, offers a different window into the postbellum economy. From 1865 to 1900, her career as an investor in railroads, mortgages, and real estate mirrored the major demographic and economic shifts of the era, while her notorious thrift stood in sharp contrast to the conspicuous consumption that defined her peers. Hetty Green was born into a Quaker family that had grown quite wealthy in the whaling industry in New Bedford, Massachusetts. By the time of the Civil War, whaling was in decline, and she inherited a fortune that had been amassed in this distinctly pre-industrial economy. After 1865, rather than frivolously spending her inheritance, she reinvested it into sectors that symbolized the transition occurring in America's economy. These were railroads, urban real estate, and financial instruments. Her move from the quaint New England coast to the financial hub of New York City reflects a broader demographic shift happening in this period, and that is the concentration of wealth in urban financial centers. In postbellum America, fewer fortunes were being made on farms or in whaling ships, but instead we see massive fortunes being made through capital markets. Hetty Green embodied this transformation. According to the Sparks and Moore book in my sources, one of Hetty Green's preferred instruments was the mortgage loan. She lent money to railroads, businesses, and even municipalities, demanding collateral in the form of land or securities. This was not simply a personal preference, it was a product of the demographic changes happening in this period. Postbellum America was undergoing rapid urbanization. Chicago doubled in size in the 1870s, fueled by immigrants from Europe, as well as domestic migrants from the American countryside. This created surging demand for housing and infrastructure, and thus driving a booming market for real estate and mortgages. Green's property investments in Chicago after the Great Fire of 1871 illustrate this point perfectly. Where others saw devastation, Hetty saw opportunity, and she continued buying land and financing projects to rebuild a city whose population was growing exponentially. Her ability to minimize risk while profiting from this urban growth made her one of the most notable financiers in the postbellum economy. The Peter Wyckoff article in my sources made it clear that this period was also defined by volatility. The Panic of 1873, as well as the Panic of 1893, revealed the fragility of a system built on railroads and speculative finance. Hetty Green not only survived these downturns, but expanded her fortune. Her notoriously frugal lifestyle allowed her to keep large amounts of hard capital during these credit squeezes, and she was able to buy valuable securities for pennies on the dollar. When banks and railroads teetered on collapse, she would move in with short-term loans, and they were always secured by capital. In doing so, she mirrored a broader evolution of American capitalism, which was the rise of financiers who acted as stabilizers in crises while profiting from volatility. Of course, Hetty Green was unusual, not only for her strategies, but also for her gender. In a period when most women had no part in formal business life, Green built and managed one of the largest fortunes in America. Her story illustrates some of the sweeping demographic changes in the postbellum economy, such as greater literacy, changes in inheritance laws that occasionally placed large sums of money in women's hands, and the general growth of the financial markets. All of these changes were necessary for Hetty to blaze the trail that she did. And I would be remiss not to mention that her frugality was legendary. She dressed plainly, refused to spend lavishly, and pinched every penny. In this sense, she was the antithesis of the Gilded Age elite. But even this peculiarity tells us something important. While the era is remembered for ostentatious displays of wealth, the real engine of the economy lay in capital accumulation and reinvestment. Hetty Green's miserly habits highlight the less glamorous but equally significant side of the postbellum growth. Between 1865 and 1900, the American economy was transformed, and Hetty Green's career as an investor captured all of these trends. She turned an inherited whaling fortune into a financial empire built on railroads, urban real estate, and mortgage lending, all while navigating the boom and busts of the Gilded Age. If Rockefeller and Carnegie represent the industrial face of postbellum America, Hetty Green represents its financial heart. Her life reminds us that the postbellum economy was not only about factories and railroads, but also about the rise of finance capitalism, demographic shifts into booming cities, and new opportunities for women to shape the modern economy. I appreciate your taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to reading any feedback that you have on it. Thank you.